A solid indicator that good things are coming your way in the future is if you're actually putting in the work to get what you want. Now, of course, there are some things that are out of our control and in the hands of God, but I'm a firm believer that doing the tasks, doing the actions, putting in the work to achieve what you want out of life can heavily influence the odds and swing luck in your favor. Now, I feel like I've experienced this a couple different times in the past. One being right now, I feel like I'm in a state of mind and a period of my life where not necessarily like for once, but I'm just in this season or state where I'm actually putting in the work to get what I want out of life. A good example of a time that I also felt this way was senior year of college when I was unemployed essentially. I mean, I had my student university job, but I didn't have anything lined up following graduation. So I spent most of that year recruiting, applying for jobs, networking, interviewing, and I always thought after that my junior year summer, so going into my senior year when I knew I didn't have anything lined up following graduation, I always just had this certainty. I always try to keep like a an abundance mindset for lack of better terms, in the sense that I knew things were going to work out even though I didn't know what was to come for me. I knew that something that was meant for me and that was right would come my way and I would be able to seize that opportunity. Definitely helped my confidence in that and my conviction in that, knowing that I had, a big name brand firm on my resume in JP Morgan, and I had a lot of other things going for me in terms of being the president of a student run investment fund at school and all these other things that I was involved in. They all stacked up in terms of my backstop for my confidence. So just me knowing that I did all of that front end work, I just kind of knew that it was kind of just a matter of time for a good opportunity to come my way. And it's interesting that I had that type of confidence at the start of my senior year because I wasn't even applying at that time. I might have sent out two or three applications just, here and there, just because I was like, oh, yeah, it's probably a good idea. But I was much more focused on my immediate responsibilities, those being, classes to a certain degree, a very low degree, but more or less my involvement at school, and that being my leadership role in the student organization that I was a part of. Since I was the president of the club, I really wanted to make my time there good and make the experience for the students the best that I could make it. So really my whole first semester was spent trying to maximize the value that these kids get out of this organization and really doing everything that I could, maybe more than I needed to, and maybe I should have taken more advantage and better advantage of having a team around me and entrusting them to also help me carry the boats, and not just do it myself, which I often try to do. I'm much more of a player coach in leadership roles where I'm still going to be on the ground floor. I'm still going to be sweeping. I'm still going to be mopping, even if I am the owner, right? I'll I really carry that attitude with me in all of my endeavors, which I think helps make me successful in anything that I choose. And I think that it's interesting that I just wasn't applying and I wasn't really putting in the work required to get a job, like thereby being sending my application out and networking with people in the industry. Like I just wasn't doing that, but I still had this sense that hey, things are gonna work out. I'll be okay. I'll I'll find something, right? And I guess it didn't really hit me until maybe like a couple weeks before winter break during my senior year, when I was like, oh man, this first semester is coming to an end. I still don't have anything lined up post graduation. What am I going to do? And so that really kind of kicked me into overdrive in terms of snapping me back into reality of like, hey, nobody's just gonna walk up and offer me a job. I'm gonna have to go get it. And so from that point, it was probably like November time, November of my senior year, a little bit before winter break, I really started putting in the work, putting in the reps, reaching out to people, networking, just sending cold outreach, really refining the resume, going to a bunch of, in-person networking events that I could, sending out, really like ramping up the job search in terms of finding high quality applications that I really think that I could be a good fit for, sitting in on a bunch of interviews that I, had to earn, but just getting the reps in really of pitching myself to an employer, trying to convince them to offer me a job. And so when I started actually doing all of that work, like every single day, that's what I was doing. I was on LinkedIn all the time. I was on job boards, less so. I was researching companies that I wanted to work for in the area that were a little bit smaller wealth management shops because that's what I wanted to do. I was finding people from the websites about the team page and seeing who went to Pitt, who can I reach out to, where can I find their email, where can I send them something. So it's just like that is when I really got the real sense of hey, this is actually going to work out for me, because I remember waking up. This was more of a first semester when I wasn't applying, I wasn't doing anything. I was just like, hey, something's gonna work out for me. I remember I would wake up in the middle of the night with stress hives all over my back and my neck and my chest. And it was odd because I didn't externally face that much stress or show that much stress, I don't think. I'd ask my friends and the people around me if it's like, hey, during that time, did I seem like I was panicking? And I think I hold pretty calm composure externally, but I guess, and even internally in my mind, I was like, oh yeah, I'll be fine. I was pretty convinced that I was going to be okay, but for some reason, my body was not reacting that way, and it had something different to say. But once I started actually doing the work, I was just like, hey, it's bound to happen. And I came across a couple opportunities where I went really, really far in the interview process. And, I experienced the gambit of rejections, going all the way from being just ghosted from applications to, getting through a first round and then getting kicked out. Not getting kicked out, but getting kicked out of the interview pipeline for the company. Making it to final round interviews, and even getting told, hey, we went with somebody with more experience. Hey, we went with an internal hire. Getting canceled the rest of my interviews in the middle of a super day in between calls. Like, I don't know. I just I I definitely got my fair share of rejections. I'll say that, but all of that was so much more comforting for me, just knowing every single rep at this, I'm getting closer and closer to what's to come for me. Now, I think I definitely would have had a different outlook on this if I was not applying anywhere and I wasn't networking and I was just, scrolling on LinkedIn, easy applying, or, applying to these random ghost jobs that are being shown on the internet these days to just scrape your data and sell it. But just knowing that I was doing the work that would actually get me what I wanted, and I ended up landing what I think is a pretty sick job, and something greater than I could have ever imagined. You know, it's all because I was putting in the work, right? In silence and on the back end that nobody saw. And of course, you see the highlight reel on LinkedIn when the job acceptance is posted. I'm extremely grateful that I accepted, XYZ, and that's all anybody really shows. And I think that might influence your perception of luck, because probably would not have known that, I collected the infinity stones of rejections and got ghosted more times than I could count, and sent more cold outreach than I ever thought I would be comfortable with. That just never shows on in the final result. Maybe it does by virtue of the result that you end up with is probably correlated in some degree to the amount of failures and trials and tribulations and turmoil that you dealt with to get to that point. So, maybe that's a different way to look at it. To look at luck is just like a mirrored accumulation of the negatives and the downfalls just on the positive side. Anyways, I'm saying this to say that the way to know if the good things are actually coming for you and to be confident in that is to actually be doing the work that's going to get you what you're searching for and what you're chasing and what you're pursuing and going after. And just these past couple of days, I've been really in just a crazy different type of flow state of executing towards the goals that I've been searching for. And so one of those things that I've thought about since I was like 16, 17 in high school was, being an entrepreneur and running my own business, really focused on the digital space, like online entrepreneurship, rather than, getting into real estate or, running a private equity company that acquires trades companies like plumbers and electricians and HVAC companies. Like, I don't know if I ever really saw myself doing that. I'm sure I could do that if I wanted to, if I really put all my time and effort and energy and attention into it. But that's just never the path that I really set my sights on. Instead, I've always been obsessed about, like, trying to make money online. Like, I'm sure so many other people are, right? Like, you start out with, hey, what are the top 5 ways to make money in 2020? Like, that's probably what I was looking up back then. And it's just evolved so much since then. Of course, with the resources and tools available, everybody talks about how AI is changing everything. And, from what I've been able to use it for, I mean, it seems pretty convincing to me. But yeah, it's just really been able to speed up this process of filling in the gaps, I guess, of skills and just, yeah, it's more just skills and knowledge that you don't have innately, and it takes a long time to learn. But AI is really helping me accelerate that process, like coding a website and marketing and sales and just writing copy. All of those things are skills that definitely, they take years to develop, but you can get to a point where it's decent enough, and with a little bit of refinement, and you know you can't just take anything that AI gives you straight out of the box. You have to put your own finesse on it. But you know if you give it clear instructions and detailed instructions and very specific context, it's pretty amazing what you can do. And right now, for these past like 3 nights, I've been awake till like 1, 2 in the morning, willingly to just work on this side project that I have going on. And it feels really good to be making progress. And I never thought, like, if I were to have to code a full website on my own, there's no shot I would be able to achieve this in the time that I have right now. Like, literally to build the whole back end of a website with, automated email nurture sequences and segmented leads, and different lead magnets and sales copy. Like, building out this back end has probably taken me a weekend. Yes, I was working probably like 12 to 15 hour days, 3 days straight over my weekend, but I was having fun the whole time, and I've just been in this otherworldly flow state that I don't think I've really felt like this before. And it's cool to just continue to unlock other levels that I thought, I don't know, not that I thought I was past my prime in college, because I feel like back then I was operating on a different level. But right now, at least these past couple days, I've felt really good about what I've been working on, what I'm striving for. And I think the thing about it is it's so much more expedited of a timeline, right? If this website took me 6 months to build, instead of um, you know 3 days, I think this would be a much more excruciating process. It would not be as fun as it is, because it's literally it's so fun because I can pull ideas out of my brain, give it to AI, say, "Hey, make this in the code base," and have it reflect on my website, and you know, it'll do that, and I literally just have to wait maybe 3 to 5 minutes when it's taking a long time. And there are still points that you run into where you want to bash your head into a wall because it's just running loops, and you really don't know how to fix something, because for me, it's my first time doing something to this degree. But I've been learning so much, because you can also ask AI to explain itself and explain what are the pieces of this execution. You don't just have to say, "Hey, build this for me. I don't want to know how you did it." And just me asking more questions about even the structure and the process of the code itself. It's like, "Oh yeah, I understand logically what is happening in the code. I just would never be able to write it because I just don't know this language." So yeah, it's just really cool to kind of see this. And I'm sitting here brainstorming different ideas, and different ideas for marketing, and just building out this website. And it's fun for me. I've literally spent all day doing this. Fortunately, I did go to the grocery store and went for a run, but outside of that, I've literally just been sitting in the office, throwing some tunes here and there. But sometimes I just like to work in silence and stare at the computer screen and just see my ideas come to life, which is the really cool thing about it. But yeah, it just feels really good because I'm putting in the work towards what I've always wanted. And it's akin to the job application analogy that I mentioned earlier, where for all of my time from like 16 till like 22, So, damn, that's 6 years. I I thought that good things were coming for me in terms of entrepreneurship and being able to run my own business or do something like that, but I was never actually making any effort towards it or making or taking any steps. There were times here or there where I maybe, dipped a toe in the water, but never really dived all the way in. And it feels like I'm actually getting to that point right now where I am taking the leap. Not completely, obviously there's still some safety guardrails in place for me, which I'm grateful for. But yeah, I just have that feeling again where I know I'm executing, I'm taking action, and it just feels like good things are on the horizon if I continue to do so. So that's what I wanted to share here. How to know if good things are coming your way. Just put in the work. It's easier said than done, but if you continue to do things that are moving the needle, it feels good if you're working on something that is actually, you know, part of your passion and maybe helps other people too, not just a selfish pursuit. Um, yeah, and it just feels good knowing that you're becoming the person who you see in your head, who you say you are, and who you really think you should be at the end of the day. So, thanks for watching. See you next time. I didn't expect this to go that long, but yeah, I'll see you.